Recently, Senator Bernie Sanders made a few stops in Pennsylvania during his Fighting Oligarchy tour. Plus, voter ID and vote-by-mail reform bills moved to the Pennsylvania House as the legislation advanced out of committee, with Democrats showing signs of softening their opposition to ID requirement. This and more in today's edition of the Week in Focus for the Pennsylvania Capital Star. Senator Bernie Sanders stopped in Pennsylvania last weekend as he continues his nationwide tour speaking out against President Donald Trump. He joined the Philadelphia AFL-CIO at City Hall for the group's May Day 2025 rally. The rally in Philadelphia was followed by a march with a message focused on labor, immigrant, and community organizations uniting to invest in people, not billionaires. Then Sanders took his tour to Harrisburg at the Pennsylvania Farm Show complex. He wrapped up his visit with another rally at Lehigh University in Bethlehem. U.S. Representative Deluzio, who represents a district in western Pennsylvania, joined Sanders at both rallies. Sanders' visit to the Keystone State came as President Trump wrapped up the 100th day of his second term in the Oval Office. Trump won Pennsylvania's 19 electoral votes over Democratic candidate Vice President Kamala Harris in last year's presidential election. He won the state by 120,266 votes. Next up, Pennsylvania lawmakers are weighing a package of election reforms, including a voter ID requirement and changes to the Commonwealth's vote-by-mail law. Most Democrats have vehemently opposed proposals requiring voters to prove their identities every time they vote, but leaders have recently expressed a willingness to negotiate in exchange for support on other measures to modernize Pennsylvania's election system. House and Senate Republicans have unsuccessfully attempted to advance voter ID as a constitutional amendment, but the issue hasn't progressed since Democrats took control of the House in 2023. Those changes include clarity on county election officials being required to notify voters if their mail-in ballots have been rejected for the lack of a signature, and give the voter an opportunity to cure the error. Among other changes, House Bill 1396 would also give election workers up to a week before Election Day to prepare to count mail-in ballots, a process that has been a bottleneck for election results in part of the state, providing fodder for election deniers. And the bill would increase the minimum pay for election workers to $175, which would help alleviate a statewide shortage. And finally, Democrats in the State House voted Wednesday to legalize recreational use of marijuana by adults with sales through state-owned stores. That sends the question of whether Pennsylvania will follow its neighbor's lead on cannabis to the Republican-led state Senate. The bill passed the House on a 102 to 101 party line vote after 2.5 hours of debate. House Democrats celebrated their victory, but they also made clear the ball was now in the Republicans' court in the Senate, where it faces long odds of making it through the GOP-controlled chamber. For the Pennsylvania Capital Star, I'm Natalie Bencavanga, and this was your Week in Focus.